The Monday, October 28th, 2024 regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. Agenda item number 2, invocation. Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, followed by the United States Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge of Allegiance, led by the City Council. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, as always, we're thankful for each and every blessing that you give us, for your watch care over us. We pray for our council members tonight as they conduct the city business, that you would guide and direct them. Father, we pray your favor upon the city, our state, and our nation, that you would guide and direct us always, that we might live a holy and righteous life. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If there's anyone who wishes to speak to address the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Zion Terronez, 1905 Culbertson Street. I had it written out. So my survey for a skate park has 341 signatures now, and 99% of them say they would like a new skate park in Paris. I'm gonna read some of the comments that they left on the survey. Someone said, I took my kids to the skate park and it was just sad. I would love to see a new one and my family would be frequent guests. Somebody else said, the skate park is now in a rough part of town. I am not comfortable taking my family there. Another person said, this town has practically nothing for the youth. That's why there is so much crime coming from the younger crowd. Paris has the smallest skate park in the world right now. I talked to a professional design build contractor that builds skate parks all throughout Texas, and I have his contact information, hoping you guys could maybe reach out to him, kind of get the ball rolling for our youth and our community. I also like to bring up the lighting situation. The lights at the skate park now are there's one light that comes on every 15 seconds and then shuts off for like 2 minutes. And now that it's starting to get dark around 5 or 7 now, but it'll be 5 before we know it. And that's the only thing me and my fellow skaters have to do. It's a small town, there's not much going on around here. So that'd be nice if we can get some lights up there to kind of light up the area. I think it would prevent more drug usage and crime too, especially police officers driving on that side of town. There's a lot of stuff that's happened over there, and if it's just pitch black, they don't know what's going on over there. I'd also like to use my last time to address the Lamar County Cemetery. I was trying to help my friend locate her mother's grave, and we can't find it. I talked to the funeral home and to the city council, and nobody's keeping documentation of the cemetery. When I go out there, I see plaques scattered all around the place, and I think our city needs to just do better on documenting the graves from this point out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Do you mind sharing that with the interim city manager, Robert Vine?
Share it.
That way we have that information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, the Citizens Forum is now closed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by single action of the council with such approval applicable with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove any items from the agenda for discussion? All right. If not, is there a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to the regular agenda. Agenda item number 12, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Ashfaq and Alifa Tapia on behalf of Lynn Van Swearingen, sorry, I hope I have not butchered that, for a zoning change from an agriculture district A to a general retail district GR in the city of Paris, block 319, lot 2, A7, West Askins Survey, and A1003 H. Williams Survey, FM 195, 0.798 acres, LCAD 50167, and Oak Creek number 1, block B, lot PT of 1, A7W, Askins Survey, and A1003 H. Williams Survey, FM 195, 1.122 acres, LCAD 104799. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, so good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is a request so that the change will allow an existing structure, residential, to be turned into a medical office. And it went before the P&Z, and they recommended approval. So that is what's before you today.
I will now open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward, state your name and address for the record. I will now close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? If not, I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion? Motion and a second from Mr. Ellis. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 13, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Cultivate Community for a specific use permit in a neighborhood service district NS for a single-family home in the Cultivate Edition Number 2, City Block 32B, Lot 1, Block A, LCAD 13832, located at 116 Northeast 10th Street. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, Mayor, thank you, and Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This is an application for a specific use permit. It's because this location is within the neighborhood service district, and it requires SUP for such a single family application. And so, Council, what is before you is to look at what the request is. It's bordered with residential and multifamily, but the applicant is coming before you because it is required for SUP process in this neighborhood district. P&Z met on this case and they recommended approval. So that's what's before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward and state your name and address for the record. I will now close the public hearing. Is there any discussion, council? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Make the motion to approve.
Okay, got a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 14, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of Chris Klein, Saul Goodman Properties, LLC, for a zoning change from a planned development district PD to a commercial district C in the Primrose Village Edition, Block B, Lot 1, LCAD 106197. Address unassigned. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this is also an application for a zoning change. Technically, this is part of the Primrose Village lot. It is just bordering the end portion, and the other side to the north is a storage facility. Now the new owner has bought this property, and he wants to buy that a single lot separate, but he wants to add it to his property, which is on the commercial side, and also be part of the storage facility. It went to P&Z the other time. They've recommended approval. However, one issue that is at stake now is the fence, the buffer that has to be there between the storage facility and the Primrose subdivision. The neighboring property owners within that subdivision have complained bitterly about the fence not being put up for a long time. And so I have talked to both parties, and my recommendation is for them to come together and figure out how best they can put up a fence. And so that is what is before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Chris Klein, 260 Bellow Drive, Prosper, Texas. I'm the applicant on this issue. I actually own that .11 acres that I'm asking to rezone to my storage facility. I am aware of the fence issue. A portion, 4 panels have fallen down, and I am actually in the process of getting that replaced right now. Emerson Fence Company is going to be out there in the next couple weeks to replace that, so that won't be an issue. Also, moving forward, there's no plans to do anything on that lot. I'm just combining these lots to have 1 tax bill instead of 3 tax bills. That's really what I'm doing. So, any questions or anything for me? No? Okay. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I will now close the public hearing. Council, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll hear a motion. Okay. Got a motion approved by Mr. Ellis?
Second. Got
a second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 15, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of 1995 Investments LLC for a comprehensive plan amendment from manufactured housing and light industrial to heavy industrial in the city of Paris, block 297, lots 1A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 15, LCAD 59490, 53676, 53594, located at 1540 to 1590 Northwest Loop 286, in an unaddressed vacant lot. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this company is requesting for a rezoning of the property, but this particular application is a comprehensive plan that is preceding the zoning change. This is for the future land use map. We always have to look at what the future development is going to be, and we've looked at it. And so currently it's a manufactured home and light industrial area, and then it's projected to go to heavy industrial. And so the next application will be the real zoning change. This is the comprehensive plan, future land use map amendment for the rezoning change. And P&Z recommended approval. So that's what is before you today.
Thank you, sir. I will now open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak on this item to please come forward, state your name, and address for the record. I will now close the public hearing. Council, is there any discussion?
I just have one question for Mr. Amamensa. You said a company had approached you on this, is that right? Did you say
Yes,
that?
it's a zoning change.
Yeah. So do you know what the plans are? Or are you privy to that?
Yeah, I will discuss that much more in
Okay.
the zoning change. This is just a future land use, so, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, I will hear a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 16, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of 1995 Investments LLC for a zoning change from an agricultural district A and light industrial district LI to heavy industrial district HI in the city of Paris, block 297, lots 1A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 15, LCAD 59490, 53676, 53594, located at 1540 through 1590 Northwest Loop 286, an unaddressed vacant lot. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, so this is what I'm talking about. This is the real zoning change for the project. And so the current district is agricultural and light industrial district. And they are requesting to rezone it to heavy industrial. So to answer your question, the proposed use of these lots is to construct offices, tracking maintenance, tracking storage, and warehouse. And in the future, they propose to make an addition to build concrete batching plant. And so that is the proposal they have for this purpose. Yes, and P&Z met the other time and they recommended approval. So that's what's before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will now open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak on this item to please come forward, state your name and address for the record. I will now close the public hearing. Council, is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will hear a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second. Oh, sorry.
Got a second from Ms. Norman. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 17A, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris for a zoning ordinance amendment as to the zoning clarification for a new and unlisted use described as a recycling transfer station consistent with resolution number 2015-009. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. So we've done a research into this situation. We do not have it listed in our ordinance. And so we're trying to, we've done some research into it. We have certain types, but not for specific. So we have added the definition to it, which covers this type of transfer station. And so it will include certain specific types that will allow what is defined as a transfer station in this type. And that is what is before you. So it's a text amendment to add this to the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward, state your name and address for the record. I will now close the public hearing. Council, is there any further discussion? If not, I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
We've got a motion,
Second.
got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item 17B, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris as to the classification for a new and unlisted use described as a recycling processing facility. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Thank you. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, this is also another type of processing and recycling. This is a facility in itself. The strength of this one is that it's a recycling processing. And so it allows for a certain type of transfer to go in there and they process it a little bit more, just a little bit different from the station itself. So this has to do with much more of a processing project type, which will allow. In actual fact, there is an interested investor who wants to come to town with this type of facility, and we do not have it as listed and that is why we want to put it in there for compliance. And that is what is before you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
I will open the public hearing and ask for anyone wishing to speak about this item to please come forward, state your name and address for the record. I will now close the public hearing. Council, is there any further discussion? I did have one question, Mr. Almomensa. This facility, could this, how close are we to potentially seeing this hitting the ground to start the process of building?
Yes. So in actual fact, the interested applicant called yesterday asking about it. So I did not know what you council was going to say, but I think they are eager to come in
Fantastic.
very soon. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions, any discussion?
So this is an individual company, is not associated with cards?
I cannot say whether they are associated with cards or not.
Okay.
Have they picked a site yet, or looking?
They are looking between the fairgrounds and Martin Luther King, in between. There's an old light commercial, unused, already existing facility over there. And that is one of them, but we looked into it. The Martin Luther King portion of it is part of the trail over there. And so, the back to school program over there, there's also that line, Martin Luther King over there. It's the school program pathway. And so we discussed it a little bit, and that is a concern.
Yes, that would be a
Yeah,
concern.
so I guess it has to be looked into, whether it will be rerouted for that purpose or any other options that can be put on the table to be discussed.
Thank you.
So just out of curiosity, and I know I've asked this before you came, what would prohibit you from answering the question if it's associated with cards or not? And I know Ms. Harris is not here.
Oh,
to-
not necessarily. I don't have that information.
Okay, I just
No,
wanted to
no,
clarify
because,
that.
yeah, if I know, I will have to declare it. So,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? If not,
I mean, I am concerned. I just need a little more information about it, knowing that it's a processing center so close to the trail, and that's where
Yeah.
Givens, I assume the school right there.
Yeah,
It's closest.
so this is a text amendment.
Okay.
It does not have to attach to a particular location.
Okay.
They can go for any other location. I'm just saying because of what, the question that came up.
Sure.
So,
Okay. Well,
You
I
got
guess
it?
when we get to the site location, then we can decide.
yes.
I understand.
Just for clarification,
Mm-hmm.
what zones could they build this or use this kind of facility in? What we're voting on?
Oh, it's much more, it's recommended, let me, so, give me a second right here.
So it's light industrial and heavy industrial, right?
Yeah, let me clarify your question for you. So for this type of facility, we've decided to make it even SUP for those areas. So it's not permitted as of right. It has to come to the P&Z and council. So that will answer your question best, because, yeah.
I think that there's support of the clarification, but definitely, I completely agree. I think there's some concern there. Obviously, you guys are in preliminary, very preliminary stages, but I believe that that's something maybe that you might be able to take back to them, just so that way they know that, hey, council's ears pricked up a little bit whenever this was mentioned, so, but I personally am in support of this facility to move forward at some point. Hopefully, they find a property that's suitable and that defines through the SUP.
Yeah.
But as long as it goes through P and Z and council and there's good approval, then hey, no
Yeah.
problem, you know?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or discussion? If not, I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 17C, discuss and conduct public hearing on an act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris as a classification for a new or unlisted use described as an indoor shooting range. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So this is a indoor shooting range, and it's been to the P&Z. They've looked at it and they've recommended approval. We have had the discussions with police department, and we earlier even added outdoor shooting, but they recommended not at this time. So this is just specific for indoor, and that's what is before you today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, is there any discussions or any questions for Mr. Almo-Mensa? If not, I'll hear a motion.
So moved.
Motion, got a second? Second from Mr. Ellis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item number 18, receive update on Mill and Overlay Street Project. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, appreciate the opportunity to update you on the Mill and Overlay project I've been working on with my office in Public Works. And in your agenda packets, I stated 12 streets that we want to update with two-inch mill and brand new asphalt, and one street that is a concrete street. And this is related to a presentation by former City Manager Path on December 11th, 2023, about the street priorities in the city and how there was some unused bond money from 2017 and 18 for streets. And this is just wanted to talk with you and answer any questions about that and update you with some revised estimates on that. For about, so in your packets on page 2 of my memo, we talk about the 11 hot mix asphalt streets and 1 concrete street. I failed to get this sheet to Ms. Ellis to put on the screen. I apologize for that, but it is in the PDF on your email if you have access to that. But I'm proposing Graham Street from the railroad tracks to 19th Northwest. That's about a half mile of street. North Collegiate Drive from Lamar Avenue to the Loop near the bank in Home Depot. Fitzhugh Avenue from Pine Bluff Road to Hickory Street. That's approximately 0.75 miles. 24th Street Southeast from Clarksville Street to Lamar Avenue. That's about a half mile. Pine Mill Road east of the Loop from approximately TxDOT right away just inside Brahms from the Loop to 30th Avenue. I'm sorry, actually, I apologize. This is outside of the Loop, east. TxDOT right away to 42nd Northeast, past the Walmart entrance on the back there. That is a 0.36 mile section. 20th Street Southeast from Polk Street to Clarksville Street, that's about 0.18 miles. 12th Street Southeast from the Trail to Paris to Austin Street, that's approximately 0.63 miles. West Sherman Street from 15th Southwest to 19th Southwest, that's approximately 1/4 of a mile. 13th Street Northwest from Bonham Road to Campbell Street, approximately 0.61 miles. MLK Drive from Fitzhugh to 6th Street near the school, that's approximately 0.223 miles. And West Campbell Street from 13th Northwest to 19th Northwest, that's about 0.4 miles. So in total, this is 5.5 miles of streets. Oh, and the concrete street is 7th Street Southwest near the CEFCO station, In the packet, there's a long description that former manager Path described in the email. I will summarize that. We have come to a tentative verbal agreement with CEFCO to split the cost of that road improvement by half, so 50-50, approximately $115,000 each from the city and CEFCO to rebuild that substandard asphalt section into concrete so that it can handle the trucks and the school traffic can not have to be inconvenienced by basically it's gone back to gravel in that section because it's not, that asphalt is not meant for trucks. So we are working with CEFCO for the agreement for the 50-50 cost, and former manager Path believed this was a great use of, since we had this sum of money to apply and invest in that section from this bond. So that is the one that's kind of the outlier of, it's not an asphalt street being paved with asphalt, but we're upgrading it to concrete. And it's a short enough section, it's about 500 feet long, so it's not as big of an investment. Overall, what I would like to say about the street conditions in Paris, we would love to totally rebuild and replace 90% of the streets if we could to a concrete condition, similar to what we did in Pine Bluff in other areas. We simply cannot afford to do that. Public Works does not have the budget to repave, let alone upgrade to concrete. So this is a way to use some money that we still have from a bond and invest directly into the infrastructure. Normally, cities will have a street paving program of annually they can invest between $500,000 and $2 million a year and break up the city in sections and repave every street in the city every 20 years. That happens quite a bit, but we do not have that ability. So when sums of money like this come available, we wanted to hit the maximum number of streets with the money so it could go the farthest. So I'd love to answer any questions you might have. Absent of the presentation slides, I wish I would have given them to Ms. Ellis. I apologize, but I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Council, any questions?
So, go ahead, Nick.
How soon does this start?
We would go to bid and have it start in the spring as soon as the weather turns.
Okay. Sorry.
So the 7th Street, just for clarification, is behind the west CEFCO, right off the loop, heading towards Chisholm Middle School.
Absolutely.
Kind of halfway down there, and that road needs to be fixed. And, went out of my head. I had another question.
If it comes back to you,
Nikki, you did it to me. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'll think about it.
I'll say this, I had an opportunity to drive through majority of these roads and kind of look through from start to finish. These roads are in grave condition, and so I do appreciate the city and staff and council putting this at the forefront to really get this improvement done. We hear about this all the time from our constituents of, hey, we want to fix our roads, we want to get our roads fixed, we're going to throw our tax money into roads, and so I appreciate this being the one of the top priorities there. And I will also add, I was having a good conversation with Mayor Pro Tem Savage earlier, and one of those other things that we'd love to see, if we ever do get that opportunity to have a surplus or any other funds that come about that we get a chance to potentially look at, is looking at the overgrowth in our community. I know that's been a big eyesore for our community to beautify and to really take care of. But I know that's down the line in the future if that opportunity ever presents itself. But that's also one of the priorities up there that I think council has a keen interest of looking at to kind of mow down some of that eyesore. So I do appreciate all the efforts that are taken from city staff and from council putting this as one of the top priorities, even stemming back to last year. So thank you all, and looking forward to this project.
Thank you, Eric. I would like to add, go ahead, sir.
So it came back to me. 6 and 8, and this is only for clarification of people listening, because 6th and 8th Southeast is one of the biggest complaint, streets, 2 of the biggest complaint streets, but they were not added to this because of litigation. Am I correct? Yes. So I just wanted to clarify that in case somebody's seeing that and say, wait a minute, 6 and 8 is not included, Southeast, and that's why.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's absolutely correct.
I had one other quick question, and I know that we've had this is not on the city necessarily. I know it's a state agency that had done this, but along with a lot of the construction that was taking place here recently on Lamar Avenue, just going forward, any progress that we make on this project, I just want to make sure that it's top of mind, that we put out enough, articles and enough publication to our social media and media partners, just to say, hey, this is what's taking place in X amount of time. Please avoid these areas, or there's a detour route, or whatever that needs to be done, because I know that was kind of a surprise to a lot of citizens about that taking place. And so I just want to try to learn from some of the lessons that have taken place in the past. So just want to make sure we're safe.
Thank you. I will work closely with the city manager and the PIO, John McFadden, about that, because he's very excellent at getting press releases out there and Facebook posts and things of such nature. And I wanted to bring up too, and kind of share with you an idea. Listed on this list is North Collegiate from Lamar to the Loop, and that is the busiest road in town, the city street. My proposal is to do that at night, to minimize impacts during the day. There is a residential section in the north end, so I wanted to get your feedback and any thoughts you might have. I have not approached them. This is just simply from an engineering standpoint. It makes more sense to not have one-way roads with flaggers on when there are several thousand cars per day, because it'll just lock everything up. Another option is just to close it from the Loop to Lamar, and then the business have to shut down. Then we could do day work, but I wanted to open this up and have any
Can't do
thoughts you might
that.
have.
We can't close the businesses on Collegiate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I like your idea of maybe nightly closures, and then the good thing is also there's good diversion paths that you could take detour routes on some of those neighborhoods. But would it be potentially like a half, like the half of the side would be closed and then the other half is active?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity and a great option. I just want to make sure that the business, community is okay. I know they want the improvement, but we've got to make sure that we work with our business partners to make sure that this goes smooth, and we try not to deter any business loss.
Can I
Well
ask
noted.
why we have never done the scenario you described, where a city designates a part of their budget for road repair every 20 years?
I do not know why that isn't been a priority. It's possible because it's such a large sum. In this, we can do 5.5 miles for $2.5 million. Normally, that huge sum, that's really not a lot of miles of road.
Right.
So you have a huge chunk of the city budget, and that just might not be available to be going out the door every year. And such as Collegiate, for instance, that was built in the early 90s. It was dead ends on each side, and Home Depot wasn't even there. So that was built through, and it hasn't been touched since. And normally, hot mix asphalt roads only can last 15 to 20 years. They're not meant to go without any surfacing or advanced maintenance for 30 plus years.
Because it just
But-
can't keep up with the growth.
Yeah.
With the same budget.
And the freeze thaw, Texas soils is a big one. You'll notice on North Collegiate, and our engineering technician, Steve Hodges, was there, and he designed that road. He's back with us after a career at TxDOT, and so he's doing a second career here at City of Paris again. But he told me about the sugar sand issue, and you'll see that on North Collegiate near the neighborhood there, of that white powder coming through. That's the sugar sand that they worked really hard to get a deep enough base and thick enough asphalt, and that's finally coming through, and it held up really well for 35 plus years.
Okay.
So I'm happy about that. But it could be a priority of council to find the money for that. I would highly recommend that if funds are available, and we can set up our GIS department and Public Works, and I can look and create zones, even if it's not a 20-year. If we had little pockets of even 25-year, we can get and save some of these roads, because as you'll see in the memo, you'll see a lot of the alligator cracking. We call it that because the cracks in the road look like alligator scales, and that is an indication of almost full road failure. the moisture getting down through has cracked them beyond repair in some locations. So what we're going to do here, we don't have the money to fully rebuild the roads because the asphalt's normally going to be thicker than 2 inches. It's probably going to be 4 to 6 inches from all the paving from the 60s when they were probably last paved or when they were originally built as a neighborhood. And when we grind that off, we're going to spray it with heavy tack coat, which is a emulsified asphalt cut back with water, and it will settle into those cracks and give us a few more years extra on that. And then the solid 2 inches of asphalt compacted, it'll hold up as best it can without being rebuilt.
Well, yes, I would like, if you could work that into a future budget as far as a scenario where, you know, light maintenance, at least it would be less expensive than completely rebuilding these roads from the ground up.
Okay.
I think that would be a priority for all of us.
I completely agree. And I think also a good thing is, you know, let's just say if we don't get a chance to make that budget item, at least we keep up with the times and expenses to see, hey, how much are we looking at material cost-wise, rather than looking at it decades from now, thinking, hey, what could it be, right? At least right now, we're looking at it and saying, okay, well, this is how much it could cost. Let's look at the inflation number and go from there.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Great, we'll do that.
Awesome. I know that this was more of an update. We voted on this back in December of '23. This is just a discussion. We don't need to take any action, correct? Okay. All right. Any further
One more
questions?
question,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity. When you start the project in the spring, do you pick out a certain area first and then go to the others, or is it done pretty much all at the same time by the company?
We will have some special consideration for school zones. I want to hit those. If we probably won't go out by spring break, but as soon as first part of May is that when school ends around here. Where I'm from, we go till June, but I think it's in first part of May. As soon as we hit that May time zone, get everything near the schools done first. Find a spot that's lowest, probably like midweek for around North Collegiate there when we have to do night work, because that's probably going to take about a week there. And so not a holiday weekend or not a holiday week, for instance, for Collegiate. So we'll look at some of those considerations, but I'm open to any ideas you have knowing these neighborhoods when you get back and say, hey, I noticed on 12th Street Southeast, there's an event through the trail here on such and such weekend. We might want to avoid that during this time. I'm all ears on that. I've only been here a couple of years now, so I'm new to the community and don't know all the ins and outs. But we'll talk with our PIO as well and other neighborhoods. None of these are focused toward the square or anything, because most of those are TxDOT roads, or the traffic isn't high enough to warrant this. But some of these, we really wanted to hit those neighborhoods that have a lot of traffic. For instance, 20th Southeast from Polk to Clarksville is a relatively short section, but it gets a lot of traffic through there, and it's alligator really bad, so I don't want to lose that road. And so a lot of thought and concern has gone in from Public Works and myself to make sure that these we get the best bang for our buck.
So could we eventually create a list of anticipated direction that that John could put out, you know, as information? So, because, you know, as council members, we're going to say, why did they start over here instead of my street is worse? So can we get something that we can put out to let people know what direction we're going? They're paying for it, so we are paying for it. So can we get that eventually?
Absolutely. The best time to do that, I think, will be when we get our bids back and we select a contractor. We'll sit down with them, maybe meet with a committee from here, your group, and talk about our priorities, and I'll make sure that they know in the contract language that we will have some say in project staging and where we go first. And that way it's not a surprise to them and they can't say it's a change of conditions and charge us extra money. I'm also, just in case bids come in too high and we have to look at these, that committee, along with the interim city manager, myself, and Public Works, we might have to take one of these off the list, and because it's going to have, I can't tell you what the bids will come in, but I'm confident that we'll be able to get, there's 12 streets on here that we'll be able to get almost all of them done, if not all of them.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 19, discuss Charter Article 3, Section 15, in regards to the city council members attending at least 75% of the meetings in any year of his or her term of office unless otherwise excused by the remaining members of council. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, the city attorney Stephanie Harris is unavailable this evening, so I will leave this agenda item. As you recall, in last city council meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Savage requested an agenda item on how to interpret the attendance requirements set forth in Section 15 of our city charter. And the Section 15 states, furthermore, a member of the council shall immediately forfeit his or her office if he or she fails to attend at least 75% of the meetings in 1 year, with the year running from in May to the last meeting in April. City Attorney Harris recommends that either a group of you or all of you, or you push it back onto the City Attorney's desk to create this particular amendment. And fourth thing she's asking you to consider is should there be categories of absences that are automatically excused? How does the council want to decide whether an absence is actually excused? What criteria will be used to determine whether an absence is excused? And then who will be charged with keeping up with the absences? So she also recommends that the policy needs to be clear so everyone understands it, not just for this current council, but for future councils as well. So before you this evening is how we move forward. Do you as a group want to decide it? Do you want to create a subcommittee? Or would you rather have the city attorney draft a policy and then bring it back to you for consideration?
I want to actually give the floor to Mayor Pro Tem Savage. I know he had brought this up.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, because it could come up. I don't think it has come up since the charter has been changed, but, you know, we can keep this pretty simple. I really don't want a separate policy. One of the questions that she asked is, who will keep up with it? Well, my question when I saw that is, who keeps up with it now?
Mm-hmm.
So who keeps up with it?
Staff.
It's in the minutes, who's here and who isn't.
But who monitors that?
As far as letting you know when you've missed 3 meetings, no one lets you know.
Okay.
And usually every one of you sends me or the mayor and mayor pro tem an email or a text, and we let everyone know that so-and-so is going to be out tonight. They're not going to make it tonight.
Yeah, and so my concern was, you know, if someone's not keeping up with it, it could be we need some type of a red flag system, somebody to say, hey, you're right at 25, missing 25% of the meetings. And I think the rest of the process is really simple. You alert the mayor and the person, and the mayor has a conversation with the person and then brings it to council and put it on the consent agenda, and you either approve it or you don't. So it doesn't take away from council members thinking, well, this guy's just loafing and not showing up, and they can pull it from the consent agenda for consideration. So it wouldn't eliminate that, but it would allow us to just move, you know, pretty smoothly. It wouldn't be a huge wrinkle, not drawing a lot of attention, because, you know, we don't get paid for this. I think most everyone here, when they miss, it's sick, vacation, or work. So I think those things should be excused, but I did not see it in the charter, how we would go through that process, so we needed to come up with it. But I don't see making a whole new policy. It's just, I think we can agree that the policy is kind of there. If Ms. Ellis is keeping up with it, she can alert the mayor anytime somebody's getting close. I don't even think anybody's close, but you know, you never know. You missed a few for work and vacation, then all of a sudden you got sick for a month and a half, and now you're there. So.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I know that a lot of illnesses have been getting longer and longer just to heal. It's been tough for a lot of folks. And so I totally agree. I think this is a smart thing to look at, especially for the amount of important items we've had to cover this year. We got to have all hands on deck. And so I do agree that this is important. I think that the best course of action is probably making sure that our city clerk has that, and, you know, when we get close, or maybe making sure that, hey, that individual gets an understanding of, hey, you're getting really close here. We're
Right.
getting close to that fourth or fifth one, which is that questionable one, right? Where we teeter into that territory of going over. Aside from that, though, I will say the council has done a fantastic job in letting, you know, staff know, hey, going to be missing for this reason, or have this coming up, and then they'll let me know, or let Mayor Pro Tem Savage know too. So that's been very helpful. So I do encourage that. Please keep that going. I think we're all doing a great job in that. But if that's fair, I think that's
I have a question.
reasonable ask.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh, my only question is with the meetings, these are city council meetings. They don't include workshops or budgets or other,
Well,
right? It's
see,
not
that's-
clarified.
That's the point I was fixing to make. It doesn't say it in the charter, but if we show up, if we call a meeting for a budget meeting, if we call a meeting to meet with PEDC, if we call a joint session with Lamar County, those are considered meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, we should probably carve that out and make that correction to say, and this is just my thought process, I don't, what say you counsel on this, but, you know, on those, I feel like those are special meetings that we try to deviate time and kind of set, you know, dedicated time for some of those. Like last meeting, we had, you know, the meeting with the county commissioners and Judge Bell, right? Well, that was kind of thrown into that. And so I know we ask a lot of each other to be able to meet on special times and you know, for certain special occasions. But I would think that the regular planned meetings would be the ones that we would count. And then the special ones, you know, if you can't make it, we do the best that we can to be able to make those. I don't think that should count against
Well,
anyone.
I agree, but that need to be specified, because
Right.
when you open up the meeting of the Paris City Council, that is a meeting of the Paris City Council.
Right, so that's why I'm saying that we need to carve that language out and make that a special clause to say, hey, you know, anything special, any special meetings or anything like that, or workshops, budget workshops, anything like that, we should probably count that as a,
Separate.
you know, a
agree.
non-determining factor.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we don't want a written policy, but what do you all think about just us bringing something back, put a memo together and say, and for you to discuss and act, and it would be a minute order, to say that it's only regular meetings that count, no special meetings, because you all know you could have 12 of those in addition to your 24
Right,
meetings.
right.
And that if it's sick, work, or vacation,
Yes.
it does not count
Yes.
towards that.
Exactly.
What if I brought a memo back based on your discussion here, and you all did a minute order on that?
Sounds good to me.
I think that's very fair. Anything else that we want to see to that?
I just think it needs to be very simple and not get encumbered in a lot of if this or
Right.
what if that, and, you know, 25% is 25%.
And that
Cut
averages
and dry.
like 3 meetings.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So far, every one of you that have texted me, called, or emailed that's sick, vacation, family illness.
Well, we don't get paid, so
I
sometimes
know.
it's work.
We could do that, and then the minute orders are tracked in a huge document that we have in my office.
Awesome. Well, thank you for keeping track of that always and making
Absolutely.
sure that, you know, you hold us to that. So thank you so much for that. And
Certainly.
anything else that we want to kind of discuss on this matter? I appreciate you bringing that up, Mayor Pro Tem Savage. Thank you for clarification. Agenda item number 20, discuss and act on an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Finance to transfer unencumbered funds from various department or reserves to other departments which are expected to overexpend their original budget appropriations. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, this is kind of our annual housekeeping ordinance that we adopt at the end of each year to kind of reconcile those departments that have gone over the original budget. And as usual, we're able to offset that increase by decreases in other departments that underspent their original budget. So there's no actual increase in the general fund budget. You have an ordinance before you that has been prepared to authorize the finance director to go in and make these changes. And so it's a staff recommendation that you approve the ordinance. I'll be glad to go into as much detail about those changes as you would like to ask, but otherwise, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of numbers. But I'll bore you as much as you want to be bored.
Is there any discussion, council, or any questions that we have for Mr. Anderson?
Who had the biggest reserves in their department? Which departments had the biggest reserves?
The largest increase took place in Department 89, which is kind of our general expenses. And that was actually a good thing, which is unusual, because what's in that, one of the things in that department is where we pay out to the chamber hotel motel taxes come in, and we collected more hotel motel tax that shows up on the revenue side, so we have more to spend out on the other side. As I recall, it's about $115,000 more than what we expected to collect during the year. So that threw us over budget in that department. Well, I'd say that's a good thing to collect more than what we were expecting in that regard. Otherwise, I believe the fire department had the largest overage otherwise. And that was primarily due to, we had, just like we had last year, we have an entire pay period that fell in September, but we didn't pay till October because, pay period ends on one Friday and we don't pay till the next Friday. So we have to, because this is the last month of the year, we have to accrue that in for reporting purposes, and that threw several departments over what they would have done. I haven't figured out a way exactly to make that adjustment up front. I have to think about it first, and it might happen. And then, if so, we'd have to go in and somehow add a 27th pay period, because normally we have 26 pay periods from a cash flow standpoint that fall in the budget, and that's what the budget software actually does. We'd have to make it do something different than that.
Any other questions?
And this might not be exactly on this topic necessarily, but what happens to money that's left over at the end of the budget year that was not spent from the departments?
It just goes into the reserve. It's
That goes
carried
into the
forward
reserve.
and it can be rebudgeted in the next year, or it can be allowed to build up.
Or to be, and the reason why I ask that, I know at a place that I used to work and some entities around here, they will spend that money just frivolously to be able to keep the same budget the next year. So I don't know if we do that. I just want to make sure that we're not doing that, because that money can be used for something else.
Right. We try to keep an eye on that, and the department heads, if they have something that's reasonable for them to spend, Public Works is a good example. If they don't do everything that they might anticipate doing, they may stockpile some asphalt or coal mix or gravel, that kind of stuff, in preparation for the next year. It's something that's useful. It's not just, going out and buying frivolous stuff. But we do kind of keep an eye on that.
Any other questions?
And I'm not sure I'm reading this right, Jean, so if you'll clarify on what we're moving out is into other departments is the finance, community development, streets, and EMS. We're taking those overages.
Yeah, those departments have excess funds in them. They didn't spend their whole budget. And we're taking money from those departments and moving it to these other departments.
So I have two questions on those. I'm surprised the EMS had that much overage, 261,000.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, they normally either break even or make a little money, but I don't have a ready explanation as to how they ended up with that much. Because I think they were fully staffed all year, or pretty much fully staffed all year, and that's their biggest expense.
I don't know the full answer, like I don't have the exact answer on this, but I know I'm talking with a lot of the folks that work in the EMS department, they had said that they had a lot of calls this year. They were kind of overworked this year. And I don't know for what reason, what would have caused that, but that's just a
So
little
this is
anecdote.
revenue into there with the,
Yeah. Well, of course, on the revenue side, the more runs they make, the more money they bring in.
Right.
But this isn't necessarily excess, this is just what was budgeted on the expense side. Sometimes they may just not spend everything that they had planned out because maybe they just didn't get to it. But I'd have to look and see specifically on why they had that much left.
and then we're putting 192,000 into the fire department. Are they over budget?
Yes, the fire department, that was primarily overtime in their part.
Okay, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. On our list, the
On-
top,
If you're looking at the ordinance, the first ones listed are the ones that were over budget. And then the ones there at the bottom are that were under budget and we're
I think
taking
mine's
money from that.
reversed.
Yeah, it's reversed.
Yeah, if you start, the departments that were over were city council, city manager, city clerk, police, fire, parks, library, municipal band, and then general expenses. Those are the ones that were over budget. And those amounts there are what we're transferring from other departments to them to get their budgets back up to match their expenses.
I think I'm just confused about the EMS number, because in our budget that we just approved, there was a huge deficit of 400,000. I think that was the number I don't have in front of me, that you did a revision to lessen that number because you anticipated another 100,000 for this year's budget. And now seeing that they had a surplus of 261,000. I mean, that's a $700,000 swing.
Well, you have to look at both revenues and,
Yeah.
and expenses. Well,
And I
some
know
of
it
them, some of them
can't-
did underspend, but others overspent, and they're netting each other out.
You know, I'm just thinking about the other departments and getting a clearer view of what number we can hit, so that we can do more mill and overlay work or budget for that if we're going to think about capital projects that we want to be committed to. And not that we're not committed to fire and EMS, but these huge swings, we don't know where the target is.
Well,
And-
if you consider that we start budgeting about 18 months out from where we end up, and so budgets are a guide, an estimate. And
Yeah.
we try to make it as accurate as we can do it, but we're never going to hit it exactly. In some cases, we may miss it both on the revenue side and the expense side, just like we brought in more hotel tax than what we anticipated. Sometimes we spend more money than we anticipate, but we try to look at the whole general fund, make sure we stay within that number, knowing we may have to move a little bit from
And
department
these
to
are
department.
very, very small percentages when you're looking at the whole budget, I understand. But that would just be, going forward. I'm knowing that we spent $86,000 more than we anticipated. I mean, that's on us, but we're obviously looking for consultants and getting outside help to help guide our decisions, so I understand that.
Yeah, and in y'all's case, you're exactly right. Consultants and then the housing assessment, which we budgeted for, but I think y'all requested some additional work there at the end, and that additional part is what ran
Sure.
that particular line item over.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or any more discussion? These are good questions, by the way. I mean, this is something that we should always keep track of and keep looking at. We always want to get better, and these are excellent questions.
Yeah.
So are they moving targets year to year? And the reason I ask that is there no historical data that would prevent fire from having a almost $200,000 overage. Because I think, to Alex's point, like, if you have a $200,000 overage, and I don't know if that's every year, or if that's just 1 year, then
that's
maybe we should swing that money somewhere else because, swing the money from somewhere else to them. So I don't know, it could be a moving target.
Yeah, normally EMS, it doesn't have that much surplus. We normally, we budget, we come in somewhere between 95 and 98% or 100% of budget. We kind of fall in that range. We usually have a little that we didn't spend in the budget, which we don't get too concerned about that because it builds up our reserve and gives us money that we can come in and do something special with that. Whether it's buying capital items that we can't normally afford. This year's new budget has about $125,000 worth of equipment and capital type items in it that we couldn't afford without spiking the tax rate. So that surplus, as it builds up and it gets to an adequate level, the manager tries to work it in because we don't want to just keep building up the balance of reserves. We want to use that because people have paid their taxes and they need to get some benefit from it.
All right. If there's no further questions, we will go ahead and hear a motion on this topic.
So moved.
We've got a motion from Mr. Kessel.
Second.
Got a second from Mayor Pro Tem Savage. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, sir. Before we get to agenda item number 21, I know we were looking to go into executive session on this item, but because we don't have our legal consultation, Ms. Harris, today, I know she's out ill, I would like to move that we look at tabling this item. Is that, I want to kind of discuss that and see if anyone would like to make a motion on that.
Both. Both items.
Yes. Yes.
21 and 22. And table it until your next meeting?
Yes. Is that,
Yes.
okay. I'll go ahead and hear a motion.
I'll make a motion that we table it till next meeting.
Thank you. Got a motion?
Item number 21 and 22.
Yes. Got a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to agenda item number 23, consider and approve future events for the Paris City Council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything?
I do, Mayor. Wanted to remind you all that normally your next meeting would be Monday, November the 11th, but it's rescheduled to Tuesday, November the 12th, and it's going to be your only meeting for November. No, don't be sad. I'll send you all a reminder.
I do have a couple things that are coming up. It's not definitive just yet, but obviously we have gone a little bit further with our city manager search. Our consultant, Baker Tilly, will be advising us of the protocol of how we want to move forward in regards to the potential next meeting. And so we do anticipate to potentially have either a meeting next week at some point, a special
Okay.
meeting. Obviously, it is paramount that all of us are able to make it, so finding a time that all of us are agreeable to is going to be very important. And then same with potentially the week after that.
Okay.
So that's just something on the horizon and as soon as we get any information, I want to send that out to council and make sure that we have good communication preserved and make sure that we're able to meet a good schedule. Aside from that, anyone else?
When did we decide to move the meeting to November 12th?
At your last meeting, November the 11th is a holiday.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, If we don't have anything else, and we'll move on to agenda item number 24, adjournment. I will hear a motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved.
All right, got a motion and a second for Ms. Norman. We are adjourned.